Well, it's some midweek action in mid-Michigan. A rivalry game and a divisional matchup as the Firebirds tonight play host to the Sarnia Sting. Flint's off back-to-back come from behind wins, and tonight set to see the Sting, a team just 4 points back in a tight Western Conference playoff battle. Why waste any time? It's the Firebirds and the Sting. Flint Firebirds hockey is on the air, and it starts right now. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside our broadcast booth for tonight's pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. Here to tell you this story, I'm Brian Gardner. We got the Firebirds and the Sarnia Sting tonight. Birds back at home after a quick little out-and-back trip to see the Erie Otters. Firebirds beat the Otters by a final score of 2-1 on Monday night at the Erie Insurance Arena in downtown Erie on the shores of Lake Erie in northwest Pennsylvania. Flint will be back there later this week on Saturday. More on that later, but it was a playoff-style atmosphere, a playoff-style game, I should say, as a little bit lightly attended, but a playoff-style game for the Firebirds, tight throughout. They win it by the final of 2-1. They do allow Erie to pick up 1 point in the shootout, but boy, was Nathan Day spectacular in that game. You'll see later on in the highlights, he made 33 saves on 34 shots. He stopped all 3 shots he saw in the shootout, en route to the Firebirds win by a final score of 2-1. So now we turn our attention to the Sarnia Sting, a team that has been scuffling a little bit lately with only 1 win in its last 9 games. But Sarnia entering play today, they're taking on this Firebirds team that's only 4 points up on them. Sarnia is sitting in a tie for 7th place in the Western Conference standings. 49 standings points. Flint has 53, alone in 6th place right now. And also, this is the 6th meeting of the season between these two teams. Every single one prior has been a 1-goal game. 1 was finished in overtime, 3 were finished in a shootout, just 1 in regulation. 3 games left between these two rivals in the division this season. Of the 12 remaining this regular season for the Firebirds, should be a lot of fun. And before we talk more about this matchup, though, let's look back at what happened last time each of these two teams were on the ice. We begin in Sarnia with the North Bay Battalion visiting the Sting on Sunday. First period, Jacob LeBlanc, the former Sarnia Sting, shoots and scores. He took the puck away, fakes, shoots, and puts it in on the glove side. It's 1-0. Later, second period, it'll be Ignat Pazzi in tight off the feed from Braden Turley. Liraman Nadovsky gets the other assist, and that made it 2-0. Now 3-0 on the power play. Andrew LeBlanc gets in on the fun. The other LeBlanc brother, also a former Sting. Look at him whip it around the attacking zone. Short side one-timer, and it's 3-0. Later on, Sarnia going to get on the board. Down the wing, Dalen Moses, short-handed goal from Jack O'Brien, makes the score 3-1. Watch him toe drag into a quick little wrister low on the far side, and the Stinger on the board. But later on, they'll answer. Sarnia backdoor, Nick Wellenreiter picks it up, sends it home, and it's 4-1. Sarnia late in the third. Sarnia trailing late in the third. North Bay still ahead. Empty net for Sarnia. They get another one, this time from Parker Vaughn, and the Battalion win it by a final of 5-1. So the Firebirds, we mentioned this game on the road in Erie on Monday. We'll pick it up in the second period. We told you Nathan Day was great. Gets a little bit of help on this one, as there will be the Otters with a chance diving to the backside, and that one will go, though, as Lucas Ambrosio, after Day got a piece of it, it bounces home. This ends up being the OHL save of the night. Full extension for Day. Got a little bit of help from the post, but he does reel it in. There's Nathan Day with a highlight reel save. And now the Birds in their own zone, going to cough it up in the third period. Panofemis over for Alfano on the one-timer. Day, cat-like reflexes in net, gets over to make the save. Firebirds going to tie it up here. A little bit of help from Josh Colosimo. Lays a hit, pops it free for Jimmy Lombardi. Top shelf, and he scores his 8th of the season. That'll tie the game and eventually send it to overtime. In overtime, here they come now with a chance going to the net. Pad save made by Day. Firebirds would counter, nothing doing. We're off to a shootout. First round, Nathan Aspinall, filthy, slides it 5-hole, gives the Firebirds the early lead. Last chance now for Erie. Martin Mishiak, stuffed by Day. Flint takes the extra point in a shootout by a final score of 2-1. Celebrate with your goaltender. You're going home with a pair of points. Firebirds are back home, and to take on this Sarnia Sting squad, a team of them. Yeah, the goal differential pretty heavy for Sarnia. Firebirds at -15. The Sting sitting with a minus almost 70. As Sarnia, a team that they have their power play and penalty kill numbers that leave a little bit of something to be desired. They are sitting in 18th in both goals for and goals against on the season, as the Sting are a team that, there can be some goals put up against them. They're averaging more than 5.5 goals per game in the last 5 games that they've played, goals against per game. See if the Firebirds can bust out offensively here this evening against this Sarnia squad. We've mentioned the playoff standings. It's tight. Erie sitting in 5th, Flint 7 points behind, and the Firebirds trying to catch the Otters from behind, but then you look behind them at the Sioux Greyhounds and the Sarnia Sting, 49 standings points. The Owen Sound Attack just out of it in 9th place, 47 standings points. The Guelph Storm in no way out of this thing. 55 games played, 44 standings points, as they are only 5 points out of a playoff spot themselves. So it's going to get interesting coming down the stretch in the Western Conference. So the Firebirds and the Sarnia Sting, as you can see, this is a big game. 3 remaining between these two teams in this regular season, as we'll see if they're all big coming down the stretch. Firebirds hoping for some breathing room on those trying to catch them from behind, while they also chase the Erie Otters. Sarnia just trying to make sure that they get into the tournament. Hey, stick around with us as we roll along in the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. When we come back, we'll get a look at the lineups for today's game. Who's in and who's out. Firebirds are going to be down some horses today. Some players to watch for both teams. All that and more when we come back on the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. Birds, Bees, live on FHN.
At the Shea Megalot, they pride themselves on always aiming higher and finding new and better ways to keep you informed on your next new-to-you vehicle. Go to SheaMegalot.com, look for the used vehicle tab, choose your vehicle, then look for the button that says Vehicle Records, where you can find the original MSRP, view the service, maintenance, and Carfax history, just like looking under the hood. Plus, take a video test drive. I'm Mackenzie Miller, and with over 500 pre-owned and certified vehicles to choose from, the Shea Megalot is where it's at. Just saying.
Well, it's the Sarnia Sting and the Flint Firebirds on this Wednesday evening from Flint, Michigan. Birds back home after that quick trip out to Erie on Monday. Firebirds heading on the road after this. Really their longest remaining road trip this season, and it's only 2 games. They're coming down the stretch here in the OHL regular season. Firebirds and the Sting jockeying for playoff position. Let's get a look at the lineups. We'll begin with the Sarnia Sting, as this is a young team, of course, with the likes of Alessandro Diorio and Beckham Edwards up the middle. This is a team that they're trying to really kind of come together and push. There's only one drafted NHL player, and Lucas Fisher on the top line, the top pair D. Nick Serzic has been good against the Firebirds in the season series. He'll get the nod in net for Sarnia. Players to watch, we'll begin with Ryan Brown. He's potted 3 goals against the Firebirds this season. Their 2023 first-round pick has really made strides stepping forward in his second season of the league, but not his draft year. An October birthday means that Brown not NHL draft eligible until 2026, but those numbers are solid. He's appeared in every game for the Sting this season. 14 goals, 22 assists, 36 points. He wears a letter in only his second year in the OHL. 4 points in his last 4 games, and Ryan Brown, a guy who's already got 3 goals against the Firebirds in the 5 games this season, always one to keep an eye on. Easton Wainwright's been around the league for a few years. He tied for the team lead with 38 points on the season, 14 goals and 25 assists. He also leads the Sting with 5 points against the Birds this season, 2 goals and 3 assists. Those 38 points are a new career high, one more than the 37 that he put up last season in 54 games played. Easton Wainwright will slot in on the second line left wing here tonight. And to Beckham Edwards. Mentioned him when we looked at the lineup. The rookie is second on the team, tied for second on the team in goals with 21. And, among rookies with 21 goals this season. Tied for 5th among points for OHL rookies. 21 goals and 14 assists for Beckham Edwards. He can put the puck in the net, as he has 2 goals in 5 games against the Birds. Did not find the score sheet against North Bay on Sunday, but he struck twice in their overtime win over Windsor last week on Friday. The Firebirds, and checking out the Birds lineup today. Now you'll see some names that you aren't used to seeing for Flint. Brendan Cook in the lineup for the second time this season, just got recalled earlier today. Same is the case for James Paul on the blue line. Birds with some notable scratches. Sam McHugh out with an injury. Also, Nolan Collins and Evan Kanyan sitting injured. Illness for Jeremy Martin and Artem Frolov as there's been a bug going through the Firebirds dressing room. Christian Colosimo also out injured today. So the Firebirds will shuffle that lineup a little bit. That top line of Clattenburg, Aspinall, and Petrie has been good as of late. Our players to watch for the Firebirds. Let's begin with Jimmy Lombardi. Scored the lone goal in the shootout win over the Erie Otters for the Firebirds on Monday. Lombardi, 30 points on the season. He's got 8 goals and 22 assists against the Sting this year. 3 goals and 1 assist for Jimmy Lombardi as he gets another crack at a Sarnia team he's had some success against, and with the Barge being a little bit shorthanded in the lineup with some notable absences, Lombardi will be looked to put the puck in the net and make some things happen offensively for the Firebirds. Josh Colosimo is not a name we've talked a lot about this season in these segments, but a couple of assists in the last 2 games and while playing on the second line. Now the lineup juggled around a little bit with Chris Thibodeau getting back in the lineup today, but Colosimo, third line left wing today. A goal and 6 assists on the season for Josh Colosimo. More minutes been coming for him as he's really found his role. He's a bit of an agitator at times, but mostly a big physical presence. Even that assist on the Lombardi goal on Monday came as a result of throwing a big hit, knocking the puck loose, and that physicality, of course, a big part of the Firebirds' identity. Now Chris Thibodeau. And Thibodeau, we just mentioned, coming back from missing the last 2 games due to an absence. 15 goals and 25 assists for Thibodeau, who should be healthy after that illness that he went through. 3 goals, 3 helpers in the season series against the Sarnia Sting. He'll be on the third line right wing today. We know that speed kills. We'll hope that his legs are fresh and he has his wind about him after getting over the bug that's been going through the Firebirds dressing room. Well, that's what we're looking at here today between the Firebirds and the Sarnia Sting. Flint, who does have the edge in the season series, hoping they can pick up a couple of points against this Sarnia team who's trying to catch them from behind as Flint hopes to get a little bit higher up in the Western Conference standings. Should be a fun one between these divisional foes as we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, though, we'll get a look at our starting lineups, national anthems, introductions, and more. When we come back after this, this has been the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive, and this is the Firebirds Hockey Network.
There's not always a light on your dash when it comes to your brakes. Whoa! You ever hear that noise? Let me show you what could be going on. Wow, looks like it's time to replace those brake pads. Before this happens to you, come on in for your free brake inspection. If you need brakes, we'll even give you 10% off any brake repairs here at Shea. I'm Jesse Lopez, and that's my tip for the month. Come trust our process. Come trust the Shea service team.